I'll be 30 in a couple months, and I finally feel like I'm waking up to what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. I know that sounds dramatic, and I think it really came from reading about the regrets of the dying, which also sounds very dramatic. But where else is the best place to get wisdom than the people who are literally departing this world, who have lived a full life, who have had great highs, but also great lows and great regrets, especially in our complicated and really challenging world. So I was doing research. I was reading about the regrets of the dying. It just became this fascination of mine, seeing what do people really feel once they look back on their life, like that level of clarity and vulnerability and maybe even a desperation to change things. What do people say? And there's a lot of stuff, but the thing that resonated the most with me was a regret that people did not live a life that truly aligned with their values, but instead lived a life that society deemed was quote unquote good. And this really resonated with me. I spent over a decade trying to live the cookie cutter corporate life. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think there were even lots of joyous moments and real positives about it. And I think I could have even maybe lived a happy life going to the more of the typical system. But I think I always felt a part of me yearning for something else, a more creative life, a more individual life, a life that was really defined by my creative eye and a desire to truly create things and a desire to connect with people. And I just suppressed that because it felt like, man, that doesn't really work with how the real world works. And that's what I kind of started to believe, almost being 30, just thinking like, okay, you feel the impact of letting go of parts of yourself. You feel the impact of letting go of those voices. And I reached a point where I said, if I don't merely make this change, how many years will it be? Will I ever make this change? And so hearing those regrets of someone saying, man, I didn't really live how I wanted to live. I thought, yeah, I've always wanted to do something creative. I was that kid at 9 years old writing scripts and making movies in the backyard with my cousins. And I said, you know what? I'm finally going to do things. And I started a YouTube channel last year and it actually became semi-successful. And now I started this one and I just really found a home with YouTube. And I really found a place where I can express myself, broadcast myself. That's the original YouTube headline. And I felt like I kind of recaptured that childlike joy, that childlike curiosity, that childlike energy. And I was like, wow, I feel like I'm waking up. I feel like I'm waking up. And that just felt incredible. That really felt incredible. And I just feel a lot happier. I think it's a lot messier. It's a lot more confusing. I probably in some ways have more anxiety of, can I make this YouTube thing work? But I feel awake. I feel alive. I feel like I'm actually living the life that feels aligned with myself. In a way, I don't have any regrets working in more of a practical type of lens for so long. I've also learned how to make YouTube work with the capitalistic world we live in, the real world we live in, have a little bit less head in the clouds, but think more about how do you merge art and business. I have all those practical things that kind of led me here. So I'm glad I'm waking up at 29, almost 30, saying, okay, I'm going to do something creative, but I'm glad the life I lived that brought me here. And if you feel like there's a voice inside you saying, man, am I really living a life true to myself? Listen to it. Because it's easy to think like, oh, I'll just, it's fine. It's fine. That voice is going to come back to bite you in some way. And it might come to you at the end of your life, but it might come to you in your 30s, in your 40s, in your 50s. And I truly believe it's never too late to make a change. But I also think that feeling the pain of not having started earlier is also challenging. And I would hope this video wakes you up much earlier than it wakes me up, or much earlier than being on your deathbed. And so if you feel like you want to live a life true to yourself, I hope this video can kind of help you get there and just put one step forward. Just start walking. Just start walking in the direction of the life you want to live. And slow motion is better than no motion. Just start moving in the direction you want and you can be shocked at what happens. And the most important part is that you'll just feel awake in a way that you might have not felt for many years or even decades. So I hope this video helped you. If you want a video about how to come back to your creativity and what it feels like to come back to your creativity after it being absent for a while, you can watch this video here. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you sitting with me on this chat.